I am about to embark on my trip to Plano, Texas. I'll be landing in Dallas, and over there I will be helping design one of Palo Alto Network's new certification exams. And this is the first time I've ever done this, and also the first time I've been to the Plano office. So I'm going to document this journey, show you guys what it's like to create an exam, a vendor exam, and also just tell you a little bit about Dallas, Texas, and how it is. Cool. I hope you enjoy the video. I'm here at the Palo Alto office in Plano, Texas. I'm just outside the office. You can see here the Palo Alto sign. And I'm here with a group of 8 subject matter experts, and we're going to spend all week writing the new questions for one of the new certification exams for the role-based certification framework. Really excited to get started writing some of these questions and learn about how writing exam questions works and bring you all along with my journey. Let's write some questions. Today is Wednesday, February 26th, and I have just completed my 3rd day of exam writing. I'm really excited for you all to see this new exam that we're working on. I've learned a lot about the writing process. One thing that really stood out as a particular lesson is that there's a lot of review in these exams. So if there's a question on an exam, just as a tip, that is wrong, it's not a typo. Like several people have looked at that and made sure that it was correct. So it is definitely wrong, like if it's wrong. But yeah, that's one of the main things. I'll talk more about some of the other learnings that I've had. Obviously, I can't give you specific answers to the exam questions, but I really learned a lot more about the scrutiny and work that goes behind developing these certification exams. And it's also just been really fun to come up with the exam questions. I'm going to get back to exam writing, and I look forward to continuing the video. So it's actually been 5 months since I was part of that workshop writing the exam for the Palo Alto Networks Certified Network Security Analyst certification. So it's been a while. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'd originally said that I was going to try to take all of the certifications, attempt all of them in a few months. And that just really hasn't happened. I've been kind of distracted. If you are keeping up with me on LinkedIn or elsewhere, you know that I was very involved in the Cyber Dawn exercise, which is a cyber incident response exercise that takes place in California. And there's a collaboration with tons of states within the West Coast as well, or in the Western region. So not just the coast, but also like Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii, for example. So I was kind of got tied up with that and kind of dropped off on the whole certification thing, but I do plan to start that again anew. But I really wanted to just make sure that I close out talking about the network security analyst exam, especially since I was able to be part of writing it. And so if you are part of writing one of the exams, they do give you the exam, or they give you the certification, I apologize, as well as you get a subject matter expert badge, so a SME badge. So I get to be now a certified Palo Alto Network subject matter expert, which is pretty cool. And I'm just really thankful that I was selected to be part of that workshop, to be someone who could actually help write an exam. I definitely was one of the least technical people within the workshop. There were so many smart people. It really, in the Air Force, we have this thing called, you can call it like re-bluing, which basically means you go to some event, it just makes you like really excited about being in the Air Force again. And I kind of had that. I don't know, Palo Alto Network's color is orange, so let's just call it re-oranging. I got re-oranged during that, and it's just so great to see all these really smart people at Palo Alto Networks who are really just helping, make and implement just great network security solutions and cybersecurity solutions for our customers. I say network security because obviously with the network security analysts, a lot of people are focused more on network security. There are these people called global solutions architects, GSAs, and they were just
out of this world intelligent. The amount of things that they knew about the Palo Alto network platform, especially the firewalls, things that are going on in the back end, was just insanely impressive. Just really, really smart, intelligent people. I definitely want to, just aspire to be as knowledgeable as they are. So that was just really great. As far as the exam itself, I can stop talking about the kind of the experience. So a lot of you are probably wondering, what is the network security analyst certification? What is the exam going to entail? So I made a video about this a little bit that you can go watch, where I talk about what is the replacement for the Palo Alto network certified network security engineer. And as you may or may not know, that's going away this month. It's currently July 2025, and it's going away this month. This will be the last month that you can take Palo Alto Networks certified network security engineer. And there's not really a replacement for it, but what's kind of happening as far as the firewall certifications, there's going to be two, really. One is going to be more focused on the setup of the firewall. Think of it as more, if you're a networking person, you have to set up the device, or device administrator, or a networking person, you have to set up the device, make it talk to other devices, set up VPN tunnels, set up networking, set up, if you want to do dynamic routing with BGP or something like that. And also within that certification, that's also the Panorama piece. And so those pieces, sort of setting up the firewall, setting up the networking, and managing with Panorama, that's all in the next generation firewall engineer certification. And then separately, there is the one that we're talking about today, which is the network security analyst. And the network security analyst is going to be more, you're thinking about, okay, everything's set up, but now how do you actually secure your traffic? And you do that through objects, security profiles, the actual policies that you're going to set up, whether that's security policies, decryption policies, NAT policies, and really knowing the ins and outs of these. I will say the types of questions that we wrote, because I can't give you any questions specifically, but they're very detailed and specific, and you really have to understand how things work at a deep level. You really have to have implemented them, and you have to understand really some of the nuances around kind of edge cases. Really, honestly, a lot of the questions were things that might be considered edge cases. There's some easier questions as well, but it's going to be a more advanced certification, so you really need to understand the platform really well. The other piece of it is, if you remember, I mentioned the network next generation firewall engineer certification is management with Panorama. The network security analyst certification, it has a large component of Strata Cloud Manager, which is the future, we can call it Panorama, but future firewall management system, as well as management of Prisma Access and Prisma SASE and software-defined wide area networking and everything. It's all managed with Strata Cloud Manager. It's a centralized management system, and there's also a lot of analysis that is done in Strata Cloud Manager. You get a lot more insights, and I hate to use the word visibility because it's a corporate buzzword, but or cybersecurity buzzword, but visibility, you really just get a lot more data and nice dashboards, etc. in Strata Cloud Manager. If you haven't seen it, I really do think that the data that you see is just a lot better and a lot more useful. There's just a lot more data in there. But that Strata Cloud Manager is part of the network security analyst certification. So in addition to understanding how to secure traffic, objects, profiles, policies, you also need to understand Strata Cloud Manager. You definitely need to have some experience with it before attempting the certification. That's going to be a big part of the certification. So definitely something that you're going to need to study if you want to prepare for this certification. If you're going to be in sort of a all over Palo Alto Networks firewall guru, and you want to really highlight that you really understand the firewalls, regardless, regardless of whether it's sort of setup or in device administration, networking, policies, etc., then really I would say you should probably be trying to shoot for both of these certifications. Maybe start with the network security professional, formerly known as a network security generalist when I took it, now known as a network security professional, and then go for the next generation firewall engineer and the network security analyst. Really, you're going to want to do both of those if you're going to show that you really understand the entire firewall platform. If you're sort of more of a networking person, just trying to get things working, the next generation firewall engineer would be more up your alley. If you're more of just a security person, you don't really deal with like how you're setting up the network, somebody else does that, then the network security analyst would be more where you want to lean towards. And I have seen organizations, as I'm sure some people will criticize this split, but I have seen some organizations where those are two distinct roles. There are distinct people doing those things. And that's really what this whole new certification program is about, right? It's about aligning the certifications with the roles. So hopefully that's helpful if you are trying to decide whether or not this certification is right for you, and hopefully it gives you an idea of what to study. Again, recommend you go look up the data sheet and see what things in there you're comfortable with and you're not comfortable with. Definitely for this network security analyst certification or any of the specialist certifications, got to get time, hands-on, go solve some use cases. You know, if you can, if you have it in your environment, definitely like just experience working in the sector, the field is going to help you a lot. But definitely going to need hands-on time because this is not a generalist certification. This is not something that you just read a book and you're going to pass. You're going to need to actually have enough experience to understand a lot of the nuances. Now that I've talked about the certification, I do want to talk a little bit more about writing the exam. If you are interested in this more, please put a comment in my in the YouTube comments below, because I'm not sure if people are interested in what it's like to write an exam, but I will talk a little bit about it. So when we put together this exam, it was kind of really interesting how it worked. So we actually were trying to build kind of a large bank of questions. And the reason we're doing that is so that when you take the exam, you're not getting the same questions that everybody else would get. You kind of get a unique set of questions, and then you can't just go write an exam, dump for the questions. We talked about the problems with cheating already. And then, and then someone else will get the same questions. We want you to get a unique set of questions. So we spent a lot of time building a lot of questions. The way all the questions were multiple choice, either multiple choice single select or multiple choice with multiple options. But the way that we wrote them was really interesting. So you write the questions, you write a few, and you have to prove, as I kind of mentioned earlier in this video, you have to prove that it's correct. You have to have some sort of documentation. It has to cite it exactly that this is correct. And there were approved versions of documentation. So even though I'm on Reddit a lot, Reddit was not one of the approved ones. It has to be an actual, Palo Alto Networks approved source for you to say that option is correct. And then you build, so say we're selecting, it's multiple choice. So one is correct and three are wrong. Then you build what are called distractors. And distractors are the wrong answers. We call them distractors because we want to distract people. So the idea is that you want people to think that one of those could be the right answer, especially if they don't really understand. And the idea is to make it so that you're actually testing if somebody really, really understands what you're asking. So for kind of a silly example, just so you kind of understand what I'm saying, if you say like, what color is the sky? The correct answer is blue. The other ones have to be, if you've never seen the sky, they have to be colors. So you can't say the color of the sky is ceiling or something like that. Like that's obviously an incorrect answer. So you can't just be something that you just easily throw out. It'd have to be blue, yellow, red, pink, right? Because the sky is sometimes pink, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that they all have to be colors, so that if somebody doesn't actually know what color the sky is, they might easily pick yellow, for example. And so those distractors have to be plausibly correct. And in some cases, the distractors were really strong to where it was something that if you actually didn't know, you might naturally think that the distractor is correct. So in some cases, we would do that. But really, we wanted to make sure that it was very clear that all the distractors were definitely wrong. Only the answer or answers, if it was multiple select, were the right answers. So that's how we built the exam. The other thing is we also tried to get away from questions which were just simple recall, which are just like what is this? What color is the sky? It's blue. So it's just a simple recall. That's just something that's not something that you have to like really think about. So we tried to get more questions that require you to do some level of analysis and really think about, just like something like, okay, if you have 20 books and if you have 20 books and each book is an average of 300 pages, like how many pages do you have total versus something like, how many pages are in the first Harry Potter book? That's just something that you would just recall. And we called those knowledge questions.
Knowledge.
And yes, there were a lot of jokes about Tai Lopez and knowledge from his famous advertisement. But and there were some of those. You will see some of those on really any Palo Alto Network exam. I'm sure you'll see things that you just have to remember. But really, we wanted people to do more analysis. And I think that was helpful. It'll be helpful for the tester. It'll really show your experience, because then it's not just you just recalling simple details about the firewall, about something that's in a menu or some, limitation or something like that. It'll actually be, you applying problem solving that you've done when you've actually implemented firewalls during the exam. And so if you've had that experience, then you'll be more likely to be successful on the exam and actually achieve that certification. So really, we wanted people to really perform that level of analysis and kind of get to those kind of more high level questions. And that uses something, if you want to do more research, it uses something called Bloom's taxonomy. We kind of simplified Bloom's taxonomy into only really 3 levels. I think it's normally 5. I could be wrong. But we actually use Bloom's taxonomy in the in the Air Force as well. So Bloom's is pretty popular. So we use that to define kind of how these questions were, and we really try to move up in Bloom so that it's not just simple recall. It really, the questions require people to think. If you see some of my previous videos, I talk about how there were some questions where either you knew it or you didn't, and some of the questions required you to think more. So you can use that as kind of a simplified way of understanding what I mean by Bloom's, to where if it's something where you have to think and problem solve, then that's going to be kind of higher on Bloom's. And if it's something where it's just, okay, either know it or you don't, that's lower on Bloom's. And really, we tried not to do too much of that was lower on Bloom's. We really tried to get people to kind of move up and think about actual problem solving. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you're interested more in that, I'm super happy to talk more about that. I can try to have one of the people from the education team be on my YouTube channel and interview them if that's something that you want to see. But I hope that I answered all of your questions about the network security analyst. I probably can answer, unfortunately, less questions that you have on this particular certification, because I've pretty much seen every single question that is on the test, because not only did I write some, I also reviewed other people's questions. We reviewed them as a group. So unfortunately, because of that, I'm kind of handcuffed as to what I can say about the certification. But if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next video.